Hello everybody and welcome back to another War Thunder video. Good news, and I'm sure you're going to like this one. I have finally pulled my thumb out of my arse, and I'm doing a video on the G.91 R1, which I promised to do before. Now, this video will probably end up going into my playlist for reviews, although I'm going to title it as a first impressions video, because the aircraft isn't fully upgraded, it isn't deleted, and I've played out the 10 free repairs. I only have the fuselage upgrade. That's it. Stock belts, stock boosters, stock everything else. This is also on a low-leveled crew, as I ground through the Italian tech tree so quickly that I ended up with, one crew that's level 20 something, and one crew with most of the crews which are level 5 or 6. Because I put my G.91 pre-series on the high-level crew, this one ended up going on a crew which has a rank of 4. So you will see quite a bit of G-lock in this aircraft. Although I decided this doesn't matter so much, as the chances are most of the people that unlock this plane won't have massively high-level crews on their Italian nation anyway. So into the gameplay. You'll notice on the runway that I took off at around 300 kilometers an hour. The rip speed on the landing gear on this thing is quite low for a jet. It's only 320 kilometers an hour, and it will rip straight off. The landing gear is incredibly weak on this plane. This doesn't really bother your takeoff so much, because the takeoff run's very short and the acceleration is incredibly fast. Although landings can be an issue, especially if the aircraft takes damage. Although the damage model is something I'll get onto a little bit later. So, how do I fly this plane? I got this information off of a fellow War Thunder YouTuber, Muck Chicken Bites. If you're watching this, which I doubt you are, thank you very much, because that information has been incredibly helpful. Run 10 minutes of fuel, because chances are the match won't last that long anyway, and if it does, and you're still alive, you will probably have time to rearm and refuel. Yeah, so 10 minutes of fuel, 10-degree angle of climb directly towards the enemy, as in straight at them. Because this plane is only armed with 4 M3 50 caliber machine guns, it isn't so much about taking down enemy players as it is doing as much damage as possible whilst you can. This is a plane that I think gets more dangerous as time goes on, however, because of its maneuverability. Although, depending on your flight style, you might fly this plane differently. I try to boom and zoom in it, and use the maneuverability when and if I can. Obviously, booming and zooming isn't always a good idea in jet battles, as you're usually ranked up against planes that will just boom straight up to you while you're in your climb. They'll have more speed than you and more energy, they'll close the distance rapidly, and they'll blow you out of the sky without you even realising they're there. I chose this match because this is a 9.0 game, and this is an 8.0 aircraft. It shouldn't be an 8.0, by the way. It really shouldn't. Fire a burst at the Venom, roll under, no hits. He didn't get any hits on me either. I take that as fair. 950 odd kilometers an hour, pull straight vertical. Convert the energy I gained into altitude, or speed more appropriately. Roll the plane over. The amount of G's that you get in a turn when you pull a maneuver like that depends on your speed, obviously. Anything over 600 and you're likely to G-lock your aircraft on the crew level that I'm using, without the G-suit, without the upgrades and what have you. Anything under 600 you should be fine, but be careful you don't stall. Fire a burst at the Meteor, get a hit. Looks like I popped his cooling system. Going too fast to aim on him, so go straight. I try to pull up to get a shot at the Hunter, fire a burst, miss, pull straight for altitude again. Just that manoeuvre there made me lose control of my plane. I'm not a fan of this mechanic, but hey, what are you going to do? All over. Yes, as I was saying, I've gotten into, say, 7.7 games before. I actually ended up fighting a P-51 Mustang on, I think it was on Berlin, fighting the Germans and the Italians versus the British and the Americans, and the most they could muster was a P-80. so that didn't go particularly well for them. Although, because our team was, you know, there were so many G91s on the team that we just thrashed them and I didn't have a chance to get any kills, which isn't interesting for anybody, let alone kill assists. I didn't even manage to get hits on anything. By the time I positioned myself, everybody on their team had died. Lost control again in that manoeuvre, but keep pointing my nose down. I need to keep my airspeed up. I mentioned the acceleration of this plane earlier. From 0 to 900 kilometers an hour, you will out-accelerate hunters. Past 900, they will out-accelerate and pull on you. This is an incredibly fast plane. I've done Mach 0.93 in a dive, which, quite frankly, is utterly ridiculous. It does depend on the circumstances though, because one time you'll rip your wings off at 1040 kilometers an hour, other times you'll carry on going, you know, like then, to Mach 0.93 and beyond. If you had enough altitude and you perform the manoeuvre properly, you can do over Mach 1.0 in this plane. You can do it over the speed of sound. But this is a very rare occurrence and is not something that you're going to be able to do regularly in realistic battles. So I'm chasing down this meteor. I want some revenge. But revenge for what, Red? He hasn't shot at you. Ah, I know, but I missed him and I'm English, and I'm annoyed about it. So I'm going to chase him. I did mention about the damage model of this plane. Yeah. There's some evidence of how bad the damage model can be in a minute. Fire burst of the meteor. The rudder on this plane is a little bit odd as well. You'll try and roll your plane, and if you're using mouse aim, your rudder will twitch and pull your guns off target. Sabre narrowly misses me then. Now at this point, I crap myself, thinking I'm going to pancake into the ground, so I adjust my angle. Try not to G-lock my plane, but it happens anyway. You see that? That was a hunter. One burst and he's just completely ruined the handling characteristics of my plane. Completely. If anything gets shots into you, whether they're firing 50 cals or cannons, if they get hits into you and you survive, fire burst at the Banshee, miss, he misses as well. If they get any shots into you, it's incredibly hard to fly this plane and even harder to land. I tried landing in one game with a damaged wing, and because you have to drop speed so quickly for the landing gear to not to break, you just crash. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it wasn't a particularly good game to watch, although I hope from watching it you can grasp how to fly this plane. You know, please like or dislike, what have you. Comment, share, subscribe, it really helps the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the